Danny here, Arts and Minds TV. This bloke doesn't need much of an introduction, but we're going to do it anyway because that's what we do here. Josh, OP, who are you, where are you from, what are you about, my man?
So my name is Josh. Most people will know me as Barber Josh OP. From the UK, live in Florida. And to be honest, bro, like when I say like who am I and what I do, I mean we have barbershops, education, products, all that kind of stuff. But to me, I always just try and think of myself as like a coach, whether that be for hair, my teams, business, life, whatever. I just try and help people and help people to elevate themselves further. As I said, we have a bunch of shops in Florida. A shop in the UK, an academy in the UK, a barber school in the UK. We've got a lot of stuff going on, but I always have to focus on like value that I can bring rather than like what I do. That makes sense.
Love that, man, and that's obviously super impressive. But I want to delve deep. I want to go a little bit deeper into who you are as a man, as a person, bro. With all this stuff going on, and I can speak for myself, like in my little world, I've got a lot going on. I've got to make sure I'm tooled up in the sense of like looking after myself. What's your daily habits to make sure that you're good to go to be able to handle all this? Like this is big days that you're doing.
Yeah. So honestly, that health and fitness was a long process of adjustment with this and what I do, because obviously I spend, I'd say, 50% of my time traveling, at least, probably more most of the time. Like in terms of like traveling, doing a class, traveling somewhere else, doing a class. And so, as you can imagine, like trying to find a routine, quote unquote, that works and allows me to be as fueled up and as healthy as possible, to be in the best condition to do what I do, was a long journey. Because obviously, when I first started doing it, I was younger. It felt like I was on holiday all the time, and you was enjoying the food, enjoying whatever. You don't get a chance to work out. We get to that after when you figure out how to do it. But it was a long journey, and so for a while, like my health and fitness went up and down. But I noticed like my energy levels and how prepared I felt to give as much value as I could was going up and down. And I feel like as a barber and as an educator, but specifically to barbers, or anyone really, but we are like a gas station for our world. Like I always talk about ourselves as being vehicles, and we have to understand how to fuel ourselves up so we can keep driving and we don't break down. But in terms of like who we are as a person, as a leader, which a lot of us like watching here want to be or are, we're a gas station, we're not just a vehicle, because we're giving fuel out to everyone else. So you can't give it if you haven't got it, right? You're not going to go and fuel up at a gas station that has no fuel in it. So you've got to understand how to keep yourself fueled. And so for me, that journey was a long one. But like right now, I sit to the other day, I'm in a flow state where I'm like, I've got it locked. And how I do it, the habits I build are, when I'm at home, when I'm not traveling, in that 50%, I kill myself. Right? In terms of, I go fucking pedal to the metal of like being on it and as strict in the strategy as I can, so that when I'm away, I can stick as much as I can to that, because you're built into a flow state that you're wanting to do it. So when I'm a bit of off time, a bit of downtime, I'll be working out, eating good, but I don't have to worry as much if I don't get a chance to do a workout every day when I'm away, because my habits at home are wake up in the morning, go and have a coffee, and do a fasted run. Then I'll work, have a little nap, like a 20-minute nap, and go to the gym in the late afternoon. Because my day-to-day, I don't work in a barbershop. My day-to-day is, if I'm not doing this and teaching and in person, I'm either teaching online, in terms of like recording online stuff and content, or admin, networking, meetings, like having meetings with our partners, all that kind of stuff. So my daily habits are I'm in a fortunate position to be able to create quite nice habits where it's not like I'm having to get up at 5 a.m. to do it at 4 a.m. But at the same point, I've found that that's now a place where I can be consistent with that. Because when I used to try and be like, right, every day, when I do this, the failure feeling of when I was away and I didn't get a chance to do it hits you harder than you realize. Like when you know what it's like when you're a high performer and you're high energy and you are motivated, and I have a bit of OCD, so I'm determined to do stuff. When you haven't done it, crashes you down. And I found that like telling myself that my life needed to be this routine every day, even if I was away or not, meant I was too inconsistent, because I knew I couldn't stick to it. Because some days you'd like, for example, this weekend, the 2 days I had off before the actual shows, I worked out, went on a run both days. But then the 2-3 days of the show, I haven't been able to work out at all, because it's been like, wake up at 6 a.m., come here for 7 a.m., work all day, talk all day, go for dinner with some of the companies or whatever, get to sleep at midnight. So it's like there's no chance in that for me to actually do what I got to do. So if I'd set that as my routine to have to do it every day, then I failed. All right, so it's about trying to find a routine that works for you. What I mean by that is a strategy. I don't want to say routine because it makes you think you're going to do it every day. A strategy that's balanced over a week is what I always talk about. If I can have a balanced week, so if I've ran and worked out 4 days out of 7. I've done 8 workouts in a week. So
It's still good.
that's my balance.
It's still good.
You know, it meant those 3 days where I was in busy in a show, I didn't have to even worry about it. And that's what I like to do. Same with my calories. My calories and how I fuel myself with food when I'm at home. I stick to like about 2,200 calories, okay, which for me is about 300, 400 below maintenance. I do that so that when I'm away, if I'm going somewhere nice or taking me out for dinner, I haven't got to stress too much if they cooked it in fucking butter, if they cooked it in whatever, or if I've had more carbs than normal and stuff like that. You know, like I'm very OCD and strategic about stuff, but that's allowing me to be OCD and strategic in an appropriate time and then not have to worry about it with no guilt in a different time. Because I think that's what with OCD, ADHD, those kind of things is you end up, it's the guilt you feel that screws your anxiety basically, because you feel guilty if you didn't do it. And that's what crushes your motivation, the guilt. I know I just rambled for a long time.
No, that's good. No, it's all good. I think particularly I can relate to it and I can see it. I can see it a lot in the barbering industry. Like guys work hard, particularly when you're working on the floor 5-6 days a week. You know, it's so important to be getting nutritious food. Like we bang on about this. Especially at lunchtime, I see blokes eating Domino's pizzas and stuff, and then they're coming back. You know what it's like when you have too much, you're lethargic.
Oh, you won't want to do it.
You're showing up and you're slow. So it's these little tweaks.
So like, and it's taking it like to understand the situation you're in and what's going to work for you that day, what's going to work for you that week, whatever. So like, for example, these days, I don't eat during the day because I have to be locked in, super high energy all day.
Yeah.
The moment I start eating, even if it's relatively healthy and clean, I've sat down in there and I'm going to slow down a little bit. I don't want to. So what I typically do is a bigger breakfast, bring a protein shake with me, right? Something that's like not too bad, a protein shake, but like a decent enough, healthy enough protein shake. And that'll be the only thing I might consume during the day. And then have a bigger meal in the evening. Yeah. Do I do that every day at home? No. At home, I have a slightly different strategy. So it's almost like what I do with like haircutting. It's like, instead of having a strategy or a routine of doing the same things, it's more thinking I've got to get the same things done. So it doesn't matter when I do it or what I do it or how I do it, I've got to get those things done. Which is exactly how I talk about hair. I've got to get consultation, preparation, scissor work, clipper work, finish and style. I've got to get them done. It doesn't matter how you do it. I've got to get them done. And then we create a process that allows me to do them things consistently. Life. I've got to eat well, pull my body right, rest, work out. I've got to do all that to make sure my body's right. So that's what I need to do. I don't need to go to the gym at 6 a.m. every morning. I just need to do those things, not the act of it. How I do that is up to me, and it's just determined on the situation I'm in at the time. You know, and I think that's where we need to, like, I talk about it all the time in hair, but in life particularly too. Sometimes people go too micro too early. They dive into like the micro elements, or they say too macro. For me, you've got to know both macros and micros and put together a system that allows you to cater and do and work with it. So it's that adaptability that helps me. And again, some people's lives they could get away with not doing that because their lives are more consistent. You know, like my life is not consistent at all. So it's almost like I don't know where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be there, how long I'm going to get to rest, how long I'm going to get to sleep, how long I'm going to get to work out. So I've got to have a system that changes with me. But a lot of barbers, it's the same because we cut hair and sometimes we don't know when we're going to finish because sometimes you take an extra walk in. Yeah.
I guess what you're saying, I mean, I imagine that's come through experience of trial and error and maybe not looking after yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Talk to me about some failures. You don't have to go into the failures, but like, how have you personally overcome any setbacks that you've had? Because where you're at, I mean, like it is massive. It's very impressive. You know, a lot is going on. But as I would assume, and I know myself, you don't get, everyone only sees the peak.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff underneath. How have you dealt with that? Has it been easy?
No, it's never easy. Like, for me, like, and I don't like talking about some. I will, but I don't like talking about it like normally, like openly, because sometimes it can sound like, and you know what people are like, because people see the pinnacle, the top of it,
100%.
tip of the iceberg. Any complaining I might do, people will always bitch about because it's like, because I've got the top part.
But there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into that.
And so what I was just talking about on stage was one of the things that I do, which for me is a great defense mechanism against the pain that stops you. So, and I call it like, it's almost a bit like out of sight, out of mind, but not in like an emotional way, more in like a focus way. So I was talking on stage about the idea that you feel what you focus on. So if you focus on the fact that you are sacrificing, you will feel like you're sacrificing. When you feel like you're sacrificing, it makes you want to do it less because you feel pain. Whereas if like short-term sacrifice for long-term gain is fine. So for example, when I first like really locked into me, like I just need to make sure I'm as healthy as I can be. Short-term sacrifice, I'm feeling hungry quite a bit. I'm pushing myself a lot working out to get my fitness back. That's fine. Long-term sacrifice in my mind shouldn't exist. Because long-term sacrifice equals long-term pain. It just means you're going to feel pain over what you do for a long time.
Yeah.
If your sacrifice is long-term, it's not sacrifice. That's just what you're doing. That's just who you are. It's you. You know, it's not sacrifice at that point.
Yeah.
If you think of it as sacrifice, you won't want to do it. So for me, and the story I use, I'll say it again, but the story I used was, so my parents came to visit in Florida 2 weeks ago. That's the first time in about 8 years I spent really more than 2 days prolonged with them. If I focused on the fact that I haven't seen my parents for a prolonged period in 8 years,
You're not going to enjoy it.
I wouldn't enjoy doing this, and I would want to retreat back into a life where I see them more probably.
Yeah.
And that's what stops a lot of people, because they focus on the sacrifice. They focus, I need to sacrifice. No, like you just need to do that. Right? And to do it, sometimes you have to ignore the fact it's a sacrifice, because
that's them projecting their own struggles
Yeah.
onto you. Like.
Yeah, it's self-communication with yourself about how you tell yourself, what you tell yourself about something is going to severely impact your ability to do it. Severely. And so if you tell yourself you're sacrificing over a prolonged period, you probably won't want to do it. Whereas again, as I said, if that's what your goal is to get somewhere, don't get me wrong, you have to look at it in the triangle of investment, time, energy, money. Is the value in? Is it worth it? Is the value in better or equal to or better than the value going out? If it is, then that's not a sacrifice. What you need to do to bring value into your life. So it's not a sacrifice at that point, because it's bringing more in than it's giving out.
Yeah.
And again, short-term sacrifice, 100%. Lock in and get through it. But if it's going to be like a year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year period, that's not a sacrifice.
So Josh, how old are you now?
31.
31. Right. So where are you at as a man right now in terms of this stage in your life? Like the journey as a young fella coming up, all these incredible things happening, full of energy, and I'm like still looking after you, still sitting at maintaining this amazing level that you're at. What, as a man, where are you at? And what's next for you?
So it's crazy. So it's really hard. So I feel for me, I've always tried to sort of center into what is the unique value I can bring to the world. And like the unique value is deeper than hair cutting or education. The unique value that I personally have always wanted to bring to the world is just helping people. And you don't know that until you look back at your life rather than looking forward on it. So, and because again, a lot of people, they try and aim to be something, but you've got to really figure out what was you just like as a kid. And that's going to kind of tell you where your direction probably should go. Like, as a kid, it wasn't the best trait in terms of it could allow me to be, as a kid, walked over a little bit sometimes, or be shy and quiet, because I was a very shy kid, but I was a people pleaser. I was a huge people pleaser. As I started to get a bit more confidence in the world, I started to coach some kids in sports when I was at school, or my sports teams at home.
Play football?
Football, cricket, I played basketball, I played everything. I did all sports. I loved it. And then, I went to university. My only real idea was about going to be a teacher. So, and I look back at that journey, my unique value I've always been trying to bring to the world is just to help people and to make them feel good, so my vehicle to do that at the beginning was hair, because that's where I found a talent. So you have to get your unique value and your unique talent, and then you have to think about the way you can bring that to the world the easiest way. So for barbers at first, it can sometimes be entertaining, sometimes it could be helping, sometimes it could be teaching, sometimes it could just be making them feel good. It could be whatever you want that value to be, whatever you think it is. And your talent is going to be hair at the start. And then for most barbers, the way you bring that to the world is cutting hair, services. For me, at the moment, it's education and mentorship. And so for me, it's a case of being centered to what that unique value is and continuing to try and grow these two and seek more for these two. Like, find a new talent to bring into the world with. So like for me, one of the talents I think I have to bring helping to the world is psychology too. You know, what's the easiest way for me to bring that to the world? At the moment, the easiest way for me to bring that to the world is a barbering education and adding that into my curriculum. Then eventually, as we discussed a little bit, I want to pivot into not even hair. I want to pivot into bringing it to the world through doing just keynote speaking or just mentoring and just life coaching on a level that's not just barbering.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at in terms of where I want to grow professionally. Personally, of course, I don't have children yet. I'm married. I don't have children. it's a really tough one at the moment to talk about in a way, because I've always wanted to be a dad, but I've always wanted to be a great dad. And right now, if you ask me, the thought of having a child, and it sounds bad, and I don't mean to sound selfish, but it would want me to halt a lot of what I'm doing, because I would want to be the best dad possible. So I wouldn't want to be away all the time. And like we said about sacrifice, like to me right now, though I'm not having a kid yet, if I really deeped it, it's a sacrifice. But I don't think of it as a sacrifice, because I'm doing what I right now I know what the value I've got to bring to the world is, you know. And without sounding bad, like just for me, even though my whole life I thought about it, do I see my value of wanting to bring to the world now in reproducing at the moment? No. And if that leads me to never having a child, I hope it doesn't. But if it did, and that was my journey, then so be it. But I'm in a position where, like, what I said to my wife is, and this goes into what I said about the sacrificing, or the sacrifice. I said to my wife, let's get to 33 to 35. This is really deep conversation for that to be going on.
What are you doing, bro?
Anyway, but I said, let's get to about 33, 35, and then decide, then talk about it. I said, let's not even talk about it till then. And we agreed that. So that's the idea of not even thinking about it. Not even thinking about the sacrifice, you know? Because if I think every day, oh man, if I don't have a kid or whatever, then it's going to make me less motivated to do and build this. So I've set that one. We're not going to think about it till then, so that we can keep head down running. And then at 33 or 35, whatever we decide, like really decide, have a conversation, see where we're at. Because if we're still in the same position, maybe you have to say, okay, another year, maybe another 2 years, whatever we think at that position. But it might be the case where we're like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And I don't know what that's going to entail, but at the same point, I'm okay with not knowing what that entails right now. I want to help provide for my family, like my mom and dad, because they always provided for me. We weren't poor by any stretch of the imagination, but we also didn't have any money. Do you know what I mean? Like, so when I say that, I mean it's like we didn't feel poor at all. I
imagine they've been a massive influence on you, bro. Like,
yeah,
obviously parents.
Yeah. So my mom struggles a lot with mental health, which is obviously a massive influence probably in me subconsciously building a very in-depth knowledge and innate ability to read psychology and stuff like that. My dad is also very astute and very logical, so I feel that's where I've got a bit of a balance of the both of them. But like one of the things from my childhood I look back on is I was actually over safe, not in a bad way. I had a great childhood and I love them for it. But remember I talked on stage that desperation is what causes a lot of success stories, because you have to have that desperation. So for me, the reason why I didn't feel like I love sports and stuff, and I was motivated and I was good at like academics and stuff as a kid. I was disciplined and hardworking, but I wasn't obsessed like I am now. And that only came from the desperation of being financially a bit fucked up from university and all that kind of stuff, and being the poor mentality. And I was raised where everything was safe, and in a nicest way possible to my mum and dad, because I get it, and I appreciate them for everything they did, because I loved it, and I wouldn't have changed my childhood for them in a heartbeat, because there's nothing to complain about in there. But it being so safe, it's what made me, in my opinion, a little bit lazier at the start. And it was that desperation that brought out the monster of like, right, like, because that's what makes you do it on the days you don't want to do it, you know? The monster inside. Not a bad monster, a good monster. You know, like the demon, the beast inside of you, it's in there for everyone, 100%. But sometimes it just needs a trigger. Yeah. But for me, it was financial.
I understand that monster.
Yeah.
That's the key, bro. Well, Josh, thank you very much for sharing, man. You like went deeper, and I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I just want to say to you, bro, like I've been following your journey for a few years now, and I've gotten to know you over the expos. Yeah. You're a good young lad, bro, with like a mad future, really good future ahead of you. Keep doing what you're doing, and like in terms of like family and things like that, I can say from my own journey, but it is the best. Not projecting nothing on you, but like having a son is the best, man. And there was a time when I was literally your age, bro, talking to guys and being like, I don't know if I want to do that, I don't know how much it's going to change things, this and that. But I can honestly say that it's strengthened me, and it will no doubt strengthen you. And that doesn't mean it's going to take away from what you're currently doing. I believe it would strengthen what you're doing and take you onto a higher level, bro. Doesn't mean go and do it, But don't be shying away from it, man, because when you're putting in them situations, you test and adjust, and knowing the monster inside of you or the gifts that you've got, you will test and adjust that to be positive, not negative, man. So keep doing what you're doing, man. We appreciate you coming to Australia. Appreciate you having a chat with us, and I can honestly say that everyone I speak to at this expo who's had any interaction with you has been nothing but positive. You're an absolute gentleman, and I appreciate your time, my bro. You're a good man. All right. There it is. I'll wrap this up. But Josh, thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate
Keep
it.
doing what you're doing, and peace.